How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Sponge 1000, and in this video we're going to focus on the Caribbean and determine if we could see Tropical Storm Danielle form somewhere in the Caribbean by next week. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. So the reason why we want to focus on the Caribbean in this video is because we are going to see an influx of moisture move into the Caribbean over the next several days and into next week as well, where if I were to show you guys the European model, look at how much moisture there is right around northern South America, and it's expected to move further northward towards the Caribbean, as we do have a fairly strong gyre going on right around Central America, which is typical during this time of the year. And if I were to move forward, we do see that we are going to see some low pressure systems form just off the coasts of Panama and Costa Rica, and that's always something to take note of, especially when, of course, we're entering the month of August, the more active part of the hurricane season, especially since the sea surf temperatures right now in the Caribbean are pretty much the highest you'll find in the northern Atlantic, where we do see temperatures right around the upper 80s when it comes to sea surf temperatures, and that's more than enough. That's more than high enough to support for tropical cyclone development. And not only that, with sea surf temperatures that high, we're more likely to see a lot faster amount of convection and a higher rate of strengthening, because the sea surf temperatures are just producing a lot of energy for a higher amount of convection to occur and a faster rate of development for any sort of low pressure system. So as a result, it's always something to take note of when we see a low pressure system right around the Caribbean. But if I were to continue to move forward, look at how much moisture moves into the Caribbean. We do see a lot of moisture pretty much hovering around Central America, and while the European model isn't necessarily developing a tropical storm, we do see low pressure systems develop just off the Central American coast, and it increases as we head further and further into the future, where if we were to take a look at this hour, look at how much moisture there is in the Caribbean, as in this scenario there would be a high possibility we would see a well-defined low pressure system develop somewhere in the Caribbean. The European model at this time is, like I said, isn't developing a tropical storm, but it's at least something to keep in mind, because we're going to see a continuous stream of moisture move into the Caribbean, and the GFS model agrees with this as well, where if I were to show you the GFS model, we're going to continue to see low pressures move into the Caribbean, and we even do see somewhat of a well-defined low pressure system by right around the 7-day mark just off the coast. And while again this won't necessarily be strong enough to be considered Tropical Storm Danielle, it's definitely something to keep in mind. The sea surf temperatures are more than warm enough to support for tropical cyclone development, and there isn't a lot of stable air surrounding this low pressure system by the 7-day mark on August 5th. However, the one inhibiting factor with a lot of these low pressure systems moving into the Caribbean will be the wind shear, because there is expected to be a strong amount of wind shear throughout the Caribbean over the next several days, and it's expected to be quite persistent. If we were to take a look at the wind shear forecast between the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, look at how strong the wind shear is throughout the Caribbean. We're seeing the oranges and the reds, which represents 40 to 50 knot winds in the upper levels, which is quite strong for any sort of low pressure system to be organized enough to develop into Tropical Storm Danielle. So this wind shear is definitely going to be an inhibiting factor. But if we were to take a look at with the location of this specific low pressure system, we do see that it's under a small area where the wind shear is fairly light. At this point, the upper level high is okay right over Central America, and if that upper level high manages to move just a little bit further eastward to where it'll create more of a more favorable environment and weaker wind shear environment right around the southwestern Caribbean, then we could see the possibility that Tropical Storm Danielle forms within this small area of the Caribbean. But we're going to need to wait and see how this upper level high over Central America maneuvers itself. At this point, it seems like the upper level high is going to stay over Central America, bringing a strongly sheared environment throughout the Caribbean. It seems likely that will be the case. However, any small differences in the forecast of the location of this upper level high will be huge in determining how strong the wind shear will be right around the southwestern Caribbean. But because we do see right over where this upper level high is located, the wind shear is quite light as all that air aloft is diverging outwards from this upper level high, and which means that the center of this upper level high, the wind shear is quite light with all that air, with all that wind pretty much moving outwards, propagating outside the center of this ridge, so this upper level ridge. So the wind shear is quite light, and if we are able to see that small area where it's large enough to where the wind shear is light, then we could definitely see that possibility of Tropical Storm Danielle form right around the Caribbean. Uncertainty is still very high. I'm going 7 days out. A lot could change, and at this point, the chance of Tropical Storm Danielle is at least at the moment low, but it's definitely something to keep in mind, especially throughout Central America, since of course, even if this doesn't develop, you still could experience heavy rain out of this low pressure zone and out of the continuous stream of moisture that's expected to impact you guys over the next several days. So it's at least something to keep in mind. This ridge will be the key. This upper level ridge will be the key in determining if Tropical Storm Danielle has a possibility of developing or not. And another thing too is the amount of land interaction, because of course all this moisture is pretty much going to hug the Central American coast, which means that there's a high probability that a lot of this moisture will deal with a lot of land interaction, which is also inhibiting the GFS model and the European model from forecasting Tropical Storm Danielle. We're going to need to see if there's going to be enough of a weakness in ridging to the east to where it'll move a little bit further eastward, but not too far east to where it'll deal with this wind shear. So it's going to need to be in this fine line where it won't deal with a lot of land interaction further westward, but yet it won't move too far east to where it'll experience a stronger wind shear associated with this upper level ridge. So we're going to need to just see if it could find the right location if to see if Tropical Storm Danielle could develop, which at this point is still uncertain. Taking a look at the relative humidity in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, we do see that there isn't a lot of dry air over the Caribbean. The reason why I haven't pointed out the main development region in this video yet is because there's just going to be so much stable air that it seems nearly impossible we're going to see any sort of low pressure system have a chance with this very strong Saharan dust layer that's dominating the main development region. So for the near future, it seems unlikely we're going to see a tropical storm develop in the main development region. The most likely scenario is that we either see a tropical storm develop in the Caribbean or maybe as far north as the Gulf of Mexico. If we do see one of the remnants of what's left of this moisture move into the Gulf of Mexico and enter a favorable environment for development, which still has yet to be seen. At this point, it seems like most of the moisture is moving a little bit too far west and rather than northward. So we aren't seeing enough moisture to really see if there's a possibility that we'll see a tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. But it's at least something to be aware of over the next several days. So pretty much to summarize, it's still uncertain if we'll see Tropical Storm Danielle in the Caribbean, but with the continuous stream of moisture and that possibility that the wind shear could be light, and of course sea surf temperatures are more than warm enough for a tropical cyclone development, then we could maybe see that possibility headed into next week. But so just be aware of this throughout the Caribbean, that we could see the potential for Tropical Storm Danielle if everything goes right, which still has yet to be seen. Now, to show you guys what the Ensemble members are saying, we clearly do see that a lot of them want to develop low pressure system just off the Central American coast. However, a lot of them want to take this westward further towards land, which of course is preventing the possibility of Tropical Storm Danielle from developing more. And it's pretty much enhancing the chance of tropical storm or hurricane developing in the Eastern Pacific. So at this point, we need to see the ensemble members lean towards moving low pressure systems a little bit further northward off the Central American coast to really determine if Tropical Storm Danielle does have a higher possibility of developing. But the fact that we do see low pressure systems just off the Central American coast, it's always something to be aware of, especially when we're entering the more active part of the hurricane season. Now, here's my forecast when it comes to where the possibility of Tropical Storm Danielle would be. It would pretty much be just off the Central American coast. If we do see that moisture move north enough and it avoids enough land interaction and the higher and the highly sheared environment further eastward, then we could see that possibility of Tropical Storm Danielle by next week. So it's definitely something to be aware of. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content, and I hope you guys all have a great day.